Hello, fellow gamers! NVS here, and I am back with another Kickstarter preview for you. And this time we're taking a look at Scattered at Sea by Nancy Hutchins. First up, though, we can say a shout out to our sponsor on the channel, which is 401games.ca, a great place to buy games brought to you by gamers. Alrighty, Scattered at Sea. Well, if you can take a look at that picture, we get it up close enough there. What do you think it's about? Well, yeah, you're scattered at sea. That's exactly what it's about. You want to survive, apparently. I don't know why you want to survive, but let's say you do. This is the game that simulates that experience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the video over to Faceless Rules Rundown Guy. He's going to give you the overview of the game, talk about how you play it, maybe how you survive through it. And then he's going to throw the video back to me. I'm going to let you know what I thought about playing this game. So, Faceless Rules Rundown Guy, if you are ready to talk about Scattered at Sea, maybe we can role-play this one after you're done here, and then we can see whether you will survive. We'll go and find a sea or something like that in Manitoba. I'm sure there's something that we could drown you. You could try to survive in. Anyways, until then, Scattered at Sea by Nancy Hutchins. Explain to us how we play this game. Hey everybody, Faceless Rules Rundown Guy here, and yes, we're taking a look at Scattered at Sea, a game of survival by Nancy Hutchins. What we're going to do in this section is we're going to go over what the game is about, then we're going to talk about what we see out in front of us on the table, and finally get into how you play the game. So what is Scattered at Sea about? Well, if you can guess at all, it is about being scattered at sea. Yes, you were on a yacht, you were having a good time, and then it got into some rough situation and it crashed. There's pieces everywhere and you were trying to save your life. That's the basics of it. So what we have out in front of us on the table is representing the debris that you're going to be searching through, the floating boat pieces and sinking boat pieces. So we've got sinking boat pieces all around here and a floating boat piece in the middle. Basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to find a flotation device, a signaling device, some water, and some food. If you can gather all that together, then you will be saved. So awesome, fantastic. Are you going to be the first one that's going to be saved? That's the big question here, whether you're going to win in this game. So, what we also have out here, beyond the debris that's at these different locations that you can search through, is we have these swimming cards that are going to indicate how far this debris is from each other. As the game progresses and some of these boat pieces sink, the debris is going to get further and further away from each other. So we're going to be flipping these cards over. It's going to lengthen the distance that it's going to take you to get to each of these locations. So you want to find these flotation devices, signaling devices, all that kind of stuff as fast as possible to get that all together and save yourself. So what we have making up the debris, you're going to be handed a hand of 7 cards at the beginning of the game, and that's going to make up what you're going to start out with and maybe give you a direction of what you're trying to put together. The way that these are represented here is we have some junk that you might be finding. Now, technically it's worth nothing except other people are going to be able to ask you if you have pieces to certain types of flotation devices, signaling devices, etc. And if you do, but you don't want to give it up, you can give them the piece of junk instead because you don't want to help them out. But otherwise, if you're looking for flotation devices, they are split into pieces of a quarter piece. So we have boat bumpers here. There's going to be 4 cards that are labeled boat bumpers, and once you get all 4 of them, you put them together, and it creates a nice picture for those boat bumpers, and that's going to be your flotation device. As well, too, there are signaling devices, follow the same pattern. You might have a waterproof cell phone, you might have a laser pointer, different things like that that you're going to be able to put together. You're also going to have food sources that you're going to be able to pick up, and water sources that you're going to be able to have. And all you need is 1 water source, 1 food source, and those flotation device and signaling device, and you are ready to go. So when we're taking a look at this hand at the start of the game, maybe we're going to be focusing on getting a dinghy and boat bumpers, maybe until we find which one is we're getting more pieces of to focus on. Maybe a round raft as well, but we also have no signaling devices, so we're going to need to round those up quickly. So how we're going to be doing that is when we get into the actual game, when it comes to your turn, you're going to be taking 2 swim actions, basically. You must take these 2 actions unless you end up on a floating or sinking boat piece, and then you're able to cut that down to only 1 movement. But basically, you're going to be represented, your swimmer is represented by one of these tokens, and you're going to be moving out to a location. So you're on this floating boat piece. This is the piece that's going to stay and remain there throughout the course of the game until the end, when possibly, if nobody's found their equipment to get saved, then it will eventually sink. But otherwise, it's going to be here for the majority of the game. So we're going to take 2 swim actions, and you're going to swim out to one of these locations. We're going to start off by going 1 swim location out here. We're going to put it on that 1 location, and then moving out to the next spot where we could either go to here or to here. We're going to choose to go to there. That's our second swim action. We're now at this sinking boat piece with some debris on it. Once we get there, since we're at a location with debris, we're able to pick 1 card up, take a look at it here, and decide whether we need to keep that piece or we want to discard something else from our hand. Now, we picked up a water source here. It's not necessarily necessary for us to hold a couple of water sources, so maybe we want to get rid of this water source out of our hand. What we would do at this instance, since we're only allowed to have 7 cards in our hand at any given time, since we're discarding one, there isn't a discard pile that you're going to put these into. Basically, the discard area is going to be the area around the playing area that we have here. So we're going to show everybody and say that we are discarding a water bottle. And then we're going to flip it upside down, and we're going to put it somewhere out into the area around this debris that we're having here. And what that's going to do is, throughout the course of the game, people might be throwing out pieces of a dinghy or boat bumpers, etc., that you might need, but you're going to have to wait for your turn. Maybe you didn't realize you needed it when they threw it out, etc., and then you're going to have to remember where it was for your chance to grab it from out in that floating area. So we've moved into this 1 location. We took our piece. We didn't find anything that was really beneficial to us, so now we'll move on to the next player's turn. If at any point, as you're moving through these locations, that you come to a location, you take a debris card, and now you found yourself with no more debris cards left at the location, and you were on a sinking boat piece, what this is going to do is it's going to cause that boat piece to actually sink. All the debris is gone. There's no point in going there anymore, but it's also going to trigger that the rest of the boat pieces are going to drift further apart, kind of signaling a certain point in the course of the game where this stuff is drifted far enough apart to cause more of an issue. So you're going to remove that. Now what you're going to do is you're going to remove any swim cards that are directly linked to and solely linked to that boat piece that you have removed. So that would be this one here. We don't need necessarily this one anymore, but we could move this up here. This one still links the cards here to get out to this location, and we can kind of move like this to kind of put everything into place where you're going to be how you're going to be able to get to these different locations. So you're going to remove swim cards as needed in order to get yourself between these spots. So whatever is needed in order to do that as you play throughout the game. And then you're going to flip these over to indicate that it is now further away from each location that you have to go. So let's say that happened, and then we get to the next player's turn. They want to go somewhere. On their turn, they want to come down here. They're going to travel on their turn and go 1, 2 swim spots, and they're not able to land on one of these sinking boat pieces in order to grab any debris to add to their hand. The other thing that can happen is if you do make it back onto, say, the middle section here, you can take one of the debris pieces from there if you want, or if you needed one of those pieces that was discarded out into the floating area around the board, then you're able to call out what you're looking for, and you're going to show what you're looking for. You got to show, say, we're looking for a dinghy, and then you got to show that to everybody to show that you do have it, and then you're going to reach out into the area and pick up a card, and oh shoot, I picked up a food source. That doesn't really help right here, but it goes into my hand. If I've got more than 7 cards, I'm going to discard one out into the floating area again, but you're going to do that. If you do happen to find that piece of the dinghy out in that floating area, then you can continue to keep guessing and pulling in more cards. Maybe you can pick up an entire flotation device or an entire signaling device out there. That's, if you plan the right strategy, well, that could easily happen. If you do ever find yourself out in a swimming area when one of these cards is flipped over, say you were on here at the time for whatever reason, and one of these cards does get flipped over, you're going to remain at that spot. We were on a 1, we stay on that 1. Now if I want to go over to this debris floating location or sinking location, then I would have to take 2 full swims to get over there. So you're going to keep track of that. Now as the game progresses, if you do ever find yourself with all 4 pieces of one of those things that you do need, let's say we have this rectangle raft here, we can lay it out in front of us on our turn to indicate that we have put it together. Here it's a little hard to do with 4 pieces and 2 hands, but there. It looks roughly like that. We can put that out in front of us, and then we have secured ourselves a rectangle raft to provide our escape. At this point, we can also put any canned food or water that we're taking with us into that rectangle raft as well. Until we find a flotation device or a signaling device, we're unable to put those water or food out in front of us. Obviously, we'd be just tossing them out with nowhere to go. So we've put that together, and then if we ever do find that second part that we need, the main point, we've got a laser pointer here, however that's put together. Again, very hard to do. I'm not sure. Maybe it's something like this to put it together. Ta-da! Maybe. But there's our laser pointer. We've got that. If we've got our flotation device and our water and food in there, then we have won. We have survived and gotten ourselves out of this situation. But as the game continues on, you're not just stuck with a 1 and 2 spaces. You can also get into where there's 3 spaces apart. That's going to take a lot longer to get to these different locations. And when you flip it over, it's going to get into 1, 2, 3, and 4 spaces. So they're eventually going to be drifting further and further apart. It's going to get rougher and rougher to be able to pick out the items that you need in order to be able to survive, but you've got to continue on. Hopefully you make it out alive from being scattered at sea. Again, the game continues until one person has found all their survival equipment, or you could even continue and just see how long it takes for everybody to find their equipment. Whatever you want to do, that is entirely up to you. But basically the game ends when one person has found their equipment and gotten out of there, and they're being selfish because they're not taking anybody else with them. There is another option for a flotation device. It's a life raft, which actually takes 6 pieces. So instead of the 4 pieces that you would normally need, it takes 6 pieces, I believe. And then you, instead of needing a 4-piece signaling device, you would just need a 1-piece transponder, and that would suffice it for your signaling device. So, but that only works if you have that life raft. And I believe it also looks after your water and food, too. So there might be 8 pieces to make up that life raft. So, yeah, there's a lot that takes into that, but it could be much easier for you. You never know based on the cards that you find. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the video back over to NVS. He's going to let you know what he thought about playing Scattered at Sea by Nancy Hutchins. And I look forward to seeing on the next time I do one of these videos. So NVS, take it away. Alrighty, well, thank you very much, Faceless Rules Rundown Guy. Yep, seems like you would be very, very ill-prepared for trying to survive out at sea. Yes, so with this game being able to be played by 2 to 6 players, it wasn't mentioned in that little overview there, but it can be scaled down so you don't have so much area to go around for the less amount of players that there are. Just thought I'd bring that up there. Let's talk about what I thought about this game. Now, since this is based off of a prototype version of the game, all that kind of stuff, things can be altered and adjusted by the end product of the game. So, state of the game as it was on my table, what did I think about playing Scattered at Sea? Alright, so, as you can tell, this isn't a very deep game by any means. This is basically moving around, picking up the pieces, putting them together, survive. There you go. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that this is a bad game, or that it's too simple. I was able to play this with my daughters. I have a 7-year-old and an 11-year-old, and I did the mental math, and yes, I did get that right. I have these youngins with me, and I have some older ones that like to play games with me as well. When I say older, I mean, more my age. But anyways, so I was able to play this with that entire range of age group there. So what I found was this definitely felt more like a family-style game. This is very casual in there, but I did have a lot of fun, especially seeing my daughters as they were putting these pieces together, putting their flotation devices, throwing out something and seeing their dad snipe it from, picking it up in the floating area and all that kind of stuff. And then when they did put it together, and they're like, yeah! Awesome! They felt really great, and I had a fun time playing that with them too, because I didn't feel like I had to usher them along or push them, lead them through the game. It was very simple to understand. Where do you want to go? You pick it up. Is it something you need? If it's not, throw it out into the water. you know, that type of a thing. So they were able to have a lot of fun. I was able to have a lot of fun with them there. Now, this is not something that I would necessarily bring out to my regular gaming group. It would be a little too light for them. We like not that we like super heavy games, but we like more of the medium weight games, sometimes a little heavier and sometimes a little lighter, but that's basically where we sit, right in the middle. So this is not something that I would bring out for that group, but definitely within my family, they quite enjoyed it. They wanted to play again and again and again, and I didn't mind playing it with them, which is great in my books, because sometimes you play some games and they're just a little too light for you, and you're like, oh my, I don't want to play this anymore with my kids, but they want to keep playing. Okay, fine. You know, that type of a thing. I didn't have that issue with this game, so I quite enjoyed that, but definitely looking at the more casual or the younger ones in the group, that they would definitely enjoy it. I think it's easily and nicely put together there. I like how the debris is drifting apart throughout the game, and that, so you have longer areas to swim and that. And funny story, first time that we were playing this game, my daughter, my youngest, was going for the life raft, the big one, putting it together and getting the transponder and stuff like that. And she was so close to finishing it, but she just couldn't seem to find that last piece. And then, you know, I forget who actually won that game. It didn't really matter, but one person finished, another person finished, my other daughter finished, and it was left to my last daughter. She really wanted to finish and put together her life raft. She went to the last place, picked up the last card, turned it over. It wasn't the piece she was needing. So then we're like, what? So we start flipping over all the cards everywhere, taking a look, and we couldn't find the last piece till we realized, wait a second, earlier in the game she did drop one of her cards on the ground, and we picked it up. We went and took a look on the ground, and we actually found the last piece of her life raft was in the vent in the floor. It had also dropped and fallen in there. Otherwise, who knows when she would have actually won the game. We couldn't figure it out. But anyways, it was a hilarious thing for all of us. We were laughing and laughing that she had dropped the only piece that she needed to survive out there. So there's a funny story for that. All right, so those are my thoughts on Scattered at Sea. I want to say a massive drowning thanks, because that's all I would do actually in this situation. I can't swim. I can't even float. I sink like a rock, and I love it. But a big drowning thanks to Nancy Hutchins for sending this out. This is part of the Jack Vassal Memorial Fund auction, and she won the auction item that I put up there for doing up a video, so that is fantastic. I love being able to test out these games, and I really appreciate her sending this out to me and giving me a chance to test this out and seeing that my family really enjoys it. So big thank you to that. Big thank you to all of you for checking out this video as well. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you do like what you see in these Kickstarter previews and you want to see more, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit up your local yachting club and ask them what would they do if they were in a crash and had to survive. Would they put together 4 pieces of a life raft and expect it to float? See what they say. Let me know in the comments below. As well, too, if you want to check out whatever else is on the channel here, you can definitely do so. There are Kickstarter game previews, retail game reviews, unboxings, playthroughs, and a weekly Here's a Kicker video feature that comes out every Monday, and it shows off cool board games that I think are pretty cool up on Kickstarter looking for funding. As well, too, we can say a final shout out to our sponsor on the channel, which is 401games.ca. Great place to buy games, brought to you by gamers. We really appreciate their support. That is 401games.ca. So, until I see you on the next video, whatever it might be, then have yourself a great morning, afternoon, evening, or good night. We'll see you later. Yeah.